Hello everybody, today I am bringing you another Counterfeit Kit Challenge kit build, and if you don't know about Counterfeit Kit Challenge, you can visit them at counterfeitkitchallenge.blogspot.com. And basically what it is we take an inspiration piece and we all shop our stash and build our own kits. So here is this inspiration piece, and it is from Hip Kit Club. Now I am a current subscriber to Hip Kit Club, so I do have this kit already. So I was wondering how I could take this kit in a different direction. So let's take a closer look at the image that is inspiration here. And I started looking at colors and I started looking at patterns, so maybe I would think about plaids, but I really wanted to go off in a different direction entirely. So what I chose to focus on was this little banner right here, and it's a chipboard banner, and I love banners. So that is where I'm starting my kit build with this month. Now other pieces I'm going to bring in, because there's chipboard embellishments, I'm going to look through my chipboard stash. Because there's frame embellishments, I want to do something around frames. And so that is how I am starting my build this month. Colors and textures and patterns are all going to flow from there. So let's get started. So I dove into my stash, and the first thing I found was this old banner product that I really like, and it's got stripes and plaids and pinks, so I am going to think about that when I go with color. Now I couldn't find any frames that I really wanted to use for this, so instead I pulled out some tags, and that's just a substitution there. And from there, I did dive into my chipboard, and I found chipboard with some banners in there from this Simple Stories I Am collection, and I knew I had a sticker sheet from that collection, so I went ahead and pulled in there, and so far the pinks from my banner will work. And that additional sheet of chipboard is an older My Mind's Eye collection, and that has some pinks in it that will work, and it also brings in some oranges and some aquas. And between the two chipboard pieces, there's also navy and black. So I'm going to keep all those colors in mind as I go through. Now this was a collection pack of Simple Stories product that I've had around for a while. I think this collection was called Posh. So I'm breaking up the collection and creating my own kit, even though manufacturers package all of these things for your convenience. That doesn't mean you have to leave them that way. You can always break them apart and use them however you see fit. And so an element that came in when I started choosing these paper was some gold foil, so I'm going to keep that in mind also as I keep working. Now this next set of papers that I am working with is from Cocoa Vanilla, and again this was a collection pack put together, but I'm going to pull out just the pieces that will work with my colors. So there's plenty of pinks in this kit. I liked the black and white prints because that pulls in some black elements. Now some of these more colorful prints I wasn't sure about. That soft pink watercolor definitely works. I wasn't sure about those stripes, but on the back was a polka dot, so that worked. And then these softer flowers I liked better than some of the bolder flowers in there, so I think the colors were subtle enough that it would work. Now I had pulled out some extra gold foil products. Only one of them wasn't actually gold when I got it up there, it was silver, so I set that one off to the side. And I do have lots of polka dots going on in this collection, so I wanted to make sure I had some other elements going. And I pulled out, this one is a Wild Whisper collection pack, and it has those lots and lots of floral leafy prints in there, cactus and things like that. So I thought that would be a nice supplement to all the polka dots I had going on at first, and some black and whites in there, and a little bit of orange in there too, so that was a good collection. And it had those flare badges that I wanted to include in this kit, so that all worked out just fine. This final collection pack of papers is from Photoplay, and the colors in here are quite different. They're much richer and deeper, but because that banner piece that I picked in the beginning had some reds to it, I wanted to see if I could incorporate those richer colors in here. And here I am just kind of putting my papers into kind of color and texture order, which I do when I'm looking at the overall view of the kit, so I can get a sense of what I have too much of, what seems to be missing, what's not working. And I'm still not sure about those deeper hues, so I do set them up there, and I just keep putting things together. Now that piece I think has more cream base to it than I want to go with the rest of the collection, so I set that off to the side. And those can be things that can help you decide. Now that piece was a little bold and graphic, but I think the pinks work, and there's enough extra stuff that I can get it to work. With those red collections, I decided the stripe has enough subtleness to its bold colors with lightening it up with that blue that you can see that I think it'll work. And then this chevron, I think, has some navy-ish black in there that I think can work, so I keep that one. But that deeper red polka dot isn't working. The color is just too rich for everything else. So I do set that aside. And that is it for the papers. Okay, now that I've added in all the papers that I wanted to add in, I'm going to reduce. So I've got these two floral prints, leafy prints that are just a little too similar, and I don't think I need both in there, so I reduce, and I just choose the subtler pattern to keep. And then the same thing with the other black and whites there. And so I think everything else is working okay, and I don't need to reduce down anymore. So here is what I've come to. I've got a few of these embellishments that I started off with. And so I'm going with those. And then I found this cut apart sheet that was just a partial pack in there. And then from the Simple Stories, I kept their sticker sheet and their cut apart sheet. And then here is the sticker sheet and the chipboards that I started off my embellishments with. And so I'm looking at my overall kit and deciding if it needs anything else. And I realize with all those tags in there, I definitely need some twine. And so I pick a neutral twine with a gold sparkle in it. And that's how I pull in some more gold sparkle. And then I remembered I wanted to do something around frames. So I had this idea. Now stick with me. We'll see if this idea works out. To make my own frames out of these Nuvo drop products. So what I did is I took a printout of some frames, and I just created this myself, and I'll have a PDF version for you if anybody wants to try this. And I covered up this printout with a sheet of parchment paper. Now the parchment paper has enough translucency that you can see through it, and so I am just tracing these printouts of these frames, and these are 4x6 photo-sized frames, and I'm tracing them with my Nuvo drops, and I am going to fill in all the gaps with these Nuvo drops and create my own plasticky kind of frames. So we'll skip through this to the end. And here I am filling in all of those gaps, and then I decide, because it's still wet, I can add some detailed embellishments to this, and I just draw a heart in a contrasting color and leave that to dry. Now, I was going to use this bottle, which I thought was gray, but it turns out that it's silver. For some reason, I had forgotten. So you get a bonus here. When I had this silver spread out there, for some reason, it reminded me of a knife. And then I went ahead and turned it into a knife. And then I got to thinking about food and eating. And guess what's coming up in the US? We've got Thanksgiving Day coming up next. So I thought creating my own little silverware embellishments out of this silver would be really fun. Now, I don't plan on using it with this kit, but since I made a mistake, I went with my mistake and turned it into something beautiful and useful. And we will move on with my intended project here, which is these frames. Now, I had a few air bubbles in there, and so I'm using a bit of a little straight pin from my sewing kit. To kind of clean some things up. Any lines that felt a little wonky or wobbly, I kind of scraped them away with that pin to make them smoother. And it sort of worked. I wouldn't say it was the most perfect solution, but it's okay, and I moved on. So I am just going to repeat this with this blue frame in this kind of navy color. And I added some details to this one with the opposing color, which is just the pink, because those are the only Nuvo drops I have. And I decided to add some stripes, and then I turned it into more decorative with some stripes inside of stripes. And I will leave these to dry overnight, and I will pop back in with the final results for you right now, for me tomorrow. And I am back. Here's what everything looks like once it's dry. The silverware came out fabulous. I love it. Now the other pieces that are 4x6 photo mats, they are sturdy. They're definitely sturdy enough to handle. I did miss a few spots with filling in the gaps, and that's okay. They did wrinkle up a little bit as they were wet on the sheet, and the wrinkles stayed there when they dried. So I was not crazy about that. Is it a deal breaker? I don't think so. But here's a closer look at that silverware. This was super fun. So I will be making more embellishments with these Nuvo products in the future. So stay tuned for whatever I can come up with that. Now, some of the stuff did kind of run together, but I'm just going to trim it out with some scissors and that'll work out just fine. And here's this second photo mat. It looked a little thinner on the sheet, but you can see me flexing it around, and it's definitely sturdy enough to be its own embellishment. So that is my kit. That is my fun take on some homemade embellishments this month. I hope you give this a try, and I will see you tomorrow with another video. I really appreciate you watching. If you got something helpful out of this video, please do give it a like. That helps my channel. And if you want to catch my future videos, please subscribe.